It's time. It's time. You know what? I think today was the most that I haven't spoken to you on a game. I call this game day. Because it really is game day when you get ready for the show and you start feeling that adrenaline. It's like, and that timer comes down. Hey, Sheldon, and I think we only got in touch like live speaking probably 10 minutes ago.
Well, you know what, and that's the thing too. And it's been with work right now, been so busy that a lot of times I feel like off. And do you remember on game days when you had to play like an 11 a.m. or a 1 p.m. game?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know if my body's not feeling it. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have that. And you start building that adrenaline. Well, for me, that usually starts around probably right now around 9 o'clock. Right at 8:30, I'm still feeling tired. Like, what the heck am I doing? I got to get my life figured out here. What am I going to talk about? What are my takes? But then the adrenaline starts building, and it's usually not until 10:30 or so or 10:15 that I start feeling really good about getting on and talking to you. And now I'm just excited because I haven't talked to you today. I like talking to you, Chev.
Me too. Me too.
And we got a bunch of good stuff to talk about this week. I'm actually really excited about this one.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I'm excited too. It's episode 43. Daryl asked who were number 43. Jeez,
I wasn't prepared this week.
I wasn't prepared. We're never prepared. 43 episodes in, we're still not prepared for the jersey number. I'm going to tell you this. That was a great analogy you made about like an early start game. On a late start game, like a 7 p.m. game, I feel
your body's just in rhythm.
I could have a good breakfast. I could have a good lunch. I could get all my routine in. Back in the day, I had dogs. I'd walk my dogs. I'd do my stretches. My body would feel good. A 1:30 game, and it's like, man, I can't do anything. Like, how do we do this? That Labor Day game is killing. And when I reference to our show, I think about like the days where there was no Mavericks Bantam football practices, where I was home at 5 p.m. till 11 p.m. and I could get a quick workout in and prep for the show. And on the weeks I had my boys, I could still feed them and then get them off. Whereas now it's like I get home from work literally at 5:45, if not 6 o'clock. I'm out the door at 6:15 for practice, if not 6:20, because I'm trying to feed and direct traffic for three boys. And then I'm back home like literally 9:15. And I told you guys, I said to text, I said, listen, guys, I'm going to be late tonight. I got a dad tonight. I got to be a dad. I haven't seen two of my kids. I got to feed them. I got to prepare stuff for tomorrow because I'm up at 5 a.m. and I got to be out the door at 6:30. So I was like, this one's tight, but we're here. I'm excited. It's going to be a great show. We got lots and lots to talk about. Sports world, politics world, pop culture world, some of it merging. I don't even know if we're going to get to it all. I don't think we're going to get to overtime, but we did say we're going to hit the marks and get out on the 20s. So in order to get on the 20s, we got to get this thing rolling. Guys, I see you in the comments. We're going to acknowledge you as we go. Welcome to the ride.
It's a ride with Chevy and Nasty, brought to you by Performance Freight Management and We Drone Real Estate Media. And Chev, what do you say? Let's kick this thing off, the ride off right. Let's cue that music. There it is. Yeah. The day has come. It's not a day you fear. Welcome to our ride. Let's get the show into gear.
Now, Shannon Sharpe's phone somehow turned on his Instagram live while he was in an intense lovemaking session. At least we know he's got a healthy sex drive.
And on Thursday Night Football, Tua got crushed. If he's not careful, his brain soon will be mushed.
Yeah, man, we're gonna talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
And pagers blowing up in Lebanon today. P-Diddy arrested and jailed. Another would-be Trump assassin stopped. And the green line today, we hear, just got derailed.
Probably a good thing. The Stamps with a tie. Jake is back in the chair as his old bud Bo Levi leads the Cats. Will they now go on a tear?
I believe it. You know, I do.
Looking pretty good. He's looking pretty good.
It's a Chevy and Nasty time, and this is our 300-pound rhyme. If you don't tell your friends about our show, like Drew Schnitzler over here for the second week in a row, then we are declaring that a crime. Yes, our poems aren't always great, Sheldon, but we managed to get them going and get them rolling on the show. Welcome back, everyone, to our show. We're live every Tuesday night. You find us here at Chevy and Nasty. We want you to like, we want you to subscribe. As we send the poem, we want you to tell our friends and your friends. You can find us the next day on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find your podcast. And I see AC Sports Live. AC, our good buddy. If you have never tuned in, if you haven't tuned into the show, go to AC Sports Live before our show. So 10 p.m. Mountain Time. He talks a lot of sports. And, you know, AC's got to be sore today. He's got to be upset. I kind of caught some of his comments as I was prepping for the show. He was just on the rant about his Eagles. They lost in Monday Night Football. They had an opportunity late in the game. Their high-profile, high-priced running back, Saquon Barkley from New York Giants that they signed in the offseason, could have caught a little arrow route and get in the end zone and seal the deal. Instead, here's your Macho Man personality. Oh, yeah. Saquon Barkley didn't deliver the mail like he promised, in the Philadelphia Eagles were handed a loss by Kirk Cousins, not your first cousin and not your second cousin, but this guy was on fire. Oh, yeah. How about that, AC? But yeah, so the Eagles lose to Atlanta on Monday Night Football, and I know AC, who is a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, is very disappointed, but that's the NFL, man. Week two was unpredictable. But Sheldon, where do you want to start this show off? Because I did my Macho Man impersonation. We talked NFL that we weren't supposed to. Yeah. What are we starting with today?
Well, let's start with something that else that was a little bit unpredictable today. A piece of old technology back in the forefront today. I couldn't believe what I was hearing earlier today in Lebanon. Thousands of cell phones, nothing new, high-tech Wi-Fi related stuff, pagers, suddenly blew up in the hands and the pockets of all the Hezbollah members across Lebanon, Syria, all over the world in a coordinated alleged attack by the Israelis. Pagers.
Listen, I got to tell you, I was driving in my car to an appointment when I heard this on the news. And I mean, you know, I probably would have read it on Twitter first if I was on Twitter, but I heard on like the legit news, the legit news that they were talking about this. I said, what is going on? And then I go to Twitter and I'm like, this is like science fiction movie stuff. Like, you got people in supermarkets walking around. And Sheldon, I got to ask you, like, if you got a phone or you got a pager, where do you think it's kept on your person? If it's not in your hand, where do you think
it's on your belt?
It's on your belt.
Is way too close to your junk, right?
Like Israel
it's in your front pocket or it's on your belt.
Now, Israel tried to literally castrate.
Yeah. Here's the thing about it. Israel's got a long history of basically saying, don't fuck with us. We're Israel. After the 72 Olympics, with the assassinations, they came back and wiped out every single individual that was involved in the assassinations, in the planning, in the transportation. Anybody that had a fingerprint on the crime scene was taken out. And now the same thing. The way they're looking at Hezbollah is that, listen, if you guys have a mandate to remove us from the river to the sea, meaning remove us from this planet, we're not going to stand for that. And they went off in a big way today. So Hezbollah knows their targets, right? And today with technology and cell phones and everything like that, it's the same thing with in the Pentagon in the US. You can't have TikTok on your phone because there's some app that's tracking you. They know which part of the building you're in. It's the same thing for Hezbollah. We got to get rid of our technology. We're going to go to the most basic thing ever, which is the pager, right? Yeah. But in the last few weeks, they worked this great new deal. Hey, we got a new brand of pagers. They're even harder for the Israelis to track. We got this great guy, Mo, down the street. He's going to set us up with this great deal on thousands of these things. Like, can you believe the amount of planning and the balls that went into pulling this thing off?
Well, and Rubio mentioned in the comment, and I had read this. I was actually looking for that comment. They kind of give a little breakdown of this. And they said basically these pagers that they were delivering to their members were actually intercepted, incoming, I believe, from Taiwan. And the Mossad members, the Israeli
revenge squad.
Yeah, they're intelligent. Well, they're intelligence operators. The CIA of Israel, the Mossad, one of the most feared agencies in the world, and one of the most elite. I guess they intercepted them and they placed little explosive device beside the battery and basically some sort of trigger. Anyways, when I read this today, I was like this is crazy. I saw some of the videos. You can go online. We didn't really want to show the videos of people blowing up, whether whether they were terrorists or not. There was a lot of innocence. There was innocent people in the way.
For
So
sure.
it wasn't necessarily clean targets, but they were taking people out and just crazy. So let's bring that to my, like, do you fear for your phone? Because I mean, my phone is in my pocket. My phone's in my pocket. It's in my hand a lot. I do, you know me, most of my communication, I do everything on my phone. You're less on your phone. But man, when I saw that, I was like, should we be worried about this?
See,
like,
I'm on my phone as much as you, but mine's a work tool, right? Mine is always on me. I'm always hooked up to cameras, gear, editing software, all that stuff. And I think the answer is yeah. We've been talking about AI and things like that can track you around and follow you around, algorithms for marketing, whatnot. This thing is 100% of the time connected to something that's out there. And
you know what I feel like? Did you ever watch the movie The Kingsman? The Kingsman.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
That was Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson was the bad guy, and that was literally the premise of that movie. They were going to blow people up with their phones. Mossad was watching The Kingsman, Secret Service, and they got inspired, and they said, "This is how we are going to end the terrorists. We're going to blow their balls off." And for many of them, 8 or 9 people died, but they
9 confirmed dead so far, but 2,700 injured
in the hospital. Like it sent the Beirut into crisis. Guys lost their hands, guys lost their junk, guys. Whoo! I don't know, man. That's a coordinated operation.
I'm not saying the ends justify the means. I'm not sure where I stand on that from an ethical standpoint, because that is a massive. I mean, it could be anything from a courier to all these things. I don't know if everybody deserved that, but let me ask you this question before we move on. Do you think this fixes anything? Do you think this is the action that Hezbollah now says, okay, you know, maybe they're right. We went too far. We should lay off for a while.
No, there's a lot. I mean, listen, since everything boiled over last year in October, we're coming up on the anniversary of that. We're not even a year into the boil over point. I'm not talking about the hundreds and thousands, the centuries of history here. I'm just talking about the last year's events that happened in October when everything happened in Palestine. I know everything's connected, you know, through Iran and all that, but yeah, this makes things worse. This does not simmer the tension down. This has brought it to a whole new level. It's scary, you know, because a lot of that stuff, what's going on there is the ripple effect is the protests and the demonstration and the hatred that's going, you know, the anti Arabic hatred, the anti Semitic stuff that's going on.
And there's very little anti-Arabic hatred going on. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but there's right now, it's almost been like free license on anybody that stands with Israel.
Yeah, it's been
you know what's scary to me? You know what's scary to me? We're going to get protests here. People are allowed to protest. Some of them are going to be ugly. It's always been that way. But, you know, back in the 80s and early 90s, they had Saddam Hussein, worst bad guy on the planet, right? Yeah. But he matched crazy with crazy, and he kept Iran in check. And, you know, he's sort of the big bully on the block. He's gone. Yeah. Put in Trump a few years ago. He's now the guy that's crazy, half unglued, the big bad bully on the block. Nobody messed with him. The second, though, that you don't have strong leaders in that area, man, the inmates are running the asylum, and it's scary because I don't know if there's going to be any de-escalation of this. Israel's certainly not motivated to do it.
No, and you know, with Russia, you know, pulling strings in back corners, and China pulling strings in back corners, and Iran. It's definitely scary. It's interesting, and it just seems that violence is reciprocating violence. Sheldon, we're gonna move on. It's the Ride with Chevy and Nancy. We don't want to get too political. We want to welcome our usuals. I see Bruno there. I see Jamin. I see Daryl. I also see some new folks. Well, Drew told a friend. Teresa joining the show, and she loves the show. So, Teresa, welcome to the Ride with Chevy and Nasty. Please
Please turn your pager off though for the duration of the show if you don't mind.
Turn your pager. I'm gonna rewind for you speaking of pagers, turn them off. What you want to make sure you do is you want to turn off your phone when you're in bed doing things that you would do in bed. And by that, the chuckle, if those of you don't know, Shannon Sharpe, NFL Hall of Famer, Denver Broncos legend, ESPN commentator and host of the Nightcap. Uncle Shannon was in an intense lovemaking session last, I believe it was Thursday afternoon. And unfortunately, he threw his phone on the bed and somehow it went on Instagram Live. Now, it didn't film him, but it recorded the session, and there was like 7,000 people there. Now, I watched. First of all, Sheldon, is your phone in the room when you're partaking in adult activities?
Phones everywhere. Siri's listening.
Yeah, and Siri's listening. So something like this, like basically the world saw. Like I think 7,000 or 8,000 people saw this. Shannon went on his show that night to talk about it, the key points of his podcast. You can pick it up on the Nightcap. It's a great podcast. They're live like us, two talking heads, him and Chad Ochocinco, my former teammate, by the way. He said basically, listen, he doesn't even know how to use his phone. And Ochocinco saying, yeah, Shannon's one of those guys that doesn't use his phone. It's kind of like a Sheldon.
It's like me.
In the like Sheldon doesn't even know how to turn on Instagram Live. And that's what Shannon Sharpe says. He's like, I never used Instagram Live. He's like, the person who turned it off was his social media manager that saw that it was on and quickly logged in and turned it off. But there was enough of a session going on. So, and he said this. So this is what's going on. You talk about Trump, you talk about some stuff, just a little bit of backstory. Because he's with ESPN and he's made some comments. I guess he's against Trump, his politics. A lot of people were basically trying to defame him by saying he's gay and all this stuff. And it's been kind of one of this pocket internet rumors. Like if you're kind of in that world, you'd see that. I didn't really know all this, but people were saying, oh, he did that to refute the rumor that he's gay. And he went on to show, he's like, first of all, he's like, I felt extreme shame. He's like, when I knew that happened, my heart sunk. And you could tell he felt shame. The other thing he says, he's like, I'm about to sign some 7-figure deals for my podcast. I work for ESPN making X number of dollars on First Take. Do you think I would jeopardize all that money, all that that he's built? Like he's a real professional guy. He's not a guy that does crazy things.
For sure.
He's like, do you think I would do all that to refute a rumor? Would you give up, the potential of 7 figures, sponsorships for the Ride with Chevy and Nasty to refute a rumor that you are something other than you are? And that's what he said
in 2024.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not a chance. That's ridiculous. I think overall, when you take a look at the public sentiment on this thing, first off, who hasn't this happened to, right, Chev? Surely one of you guys out there this has happened to before, but it's an honest mistake, right? He's not doing it for any other reason. It doesn't help anybody fess up. There you go.
No, someone said someone said you use your GoPro in the bedroom.
Oh, stay out of my hard drives. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It was an honest mistake. You could see it happening, right? It's not one of those guys that are putting on a show. I think Jeffrey Toobin on CNN got fired for, masturbating during a work call with his camera on. I mean, there's some things that just seem to go over the top.
Yeah,
this is the last. This is the last thing that I think he wanted to have happen to him.
No,
he got out there. He got out there in front of it. He owned it. Right. It's actually kind of funny. And it was nothing too graphic that is really going to hurt him, right? Like, did you watch or did you listen to the video? I haven't even. I did
because again, it was one of those things. I love when I turn on Twitter because sometimes you see stuff and you're like, this is not real. And then you see other stuff and you wonder if it's real. And this was one of those things. I was like, this is not real. And I followed the story throughout the day and I kept pulling up the Shannon Sharpe hashtag to see what was going on. And lo and behold, he admitted that it was him and he was going to address it that night on a show. And I'll tell you one thing, smart move on his part to own it right away. He owned it right away. The other thing, smart move on his part to hit it head up on his podcast that night. Not only did he get to control the message and the response instantly. No silence. No. He also he must have attracted so many viewers just by the fact that people were curious. I was curious. I haven't watched this show. I watched 2 episodes that night. I watched, actually, no, 2 episodes that weekend. I watched the one where he had an emergency episode to address this. And then the next night, Chad Johnson, who went easy on him the first night, like allowed him space to talk and gave him a few shots. But the next night, they did a roast of him where they had some guys come on and just tease him about the whole thing. And I thought it was awesome. It was so good.
Well, what else are you going to do other than fire that social media manager? Because I think there's somebody else with control of the live that could have shut it down a little bit earlier. But
somebody else was Shannon Sharpe, and he was busy doing something else other than pressing buttons on Instagram Live. Sheldon, you said you want to get at 20. We're pretty close. Let's make sure we say thanks to everyone for showing up tonight. Let's make sure that we tell everyone that you guys got to follow us at Chevy and Nasty on all our socials: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter X, as they call it, Spotify. We're live on Tuesday nights, but then you can find our podcast audio version if you want to download it on Spotify and Apple. Please tell a friend. Please bring some friends along. We love this ride. It's a bus. It's not a sports car for 2, and we have space for you, your friends, and we have lots to talk about. So we're gonna take a break now, and when we get back, Sheldon, what would you do if you won a whole pot of money?
It's gonna happen to somebody tonight.
Maybe us. Who knows? All right.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the ride with Chevy and Nasty. And the question Chevy left us with was, what would you do if you won that $80 million jackpot? Now, back in the day, you never saw anything like that at all in Canada, right? Like, I guess maybe we're growing as a country. We're around 40 million people now.
The old slogan, I guess, out east, and I think it was out west, is Lotto 649. It wouldn't change you, and it was like $1 million back in the day. Maybe if it got up to, 5 million, but this, I mean, we're not talking about Powerball money in the States with the billions, but this is substantial.
And it's tax-free, right? Yeah. It's tax in Canada. It's tax-free winning. So you win this, and overnight your life changes. Yeah. Right. And it's that really interesting question. And it's hard to answer honestly, because it's hard to really picture it. But Chev, if you won $80 million this week and you knew you're getting the check in 3 months or whatever it is, I don't know how long it takes to actually collect.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you would do?
Man, I don't know. Like I know. Ooh,
No, and
man,
not to get you in trouble, but let's just be honest. Would you quit your job on day one?
I don't know if I'm quitting on day one. You listen. I need something to do. I need something to do. You know what? I'm gonna say if I won $80 million, I'm gonna be very honest. I grew up like a car guy. I always wanted a nice car. And the dream car for me was always the Ferrari Testarossa from Miami Vice. I had a red one as a little die-cast one, and that was my dream car. Not the GTO from Magnum PI, but the Ferrari Testarossa. I would get my hands on a Ferrari Testarossa if I won $80 million. I think. I don't know. That's the first thing that came to mind. I want to rip around in the Tesla. I'll rent it. I'll rent the Tesla. I don't care. I don't need to own it. But yeah, I'd have to sit down in a very quiet room and just think. I might call in sick for a few days. I might call in sick, but I don't. What about you? What about you?
First, I'm going to get to some of these reactions. Rob Evans says, "Build us a new fire hall, Chev." Bruno says, "I'm Italian." Bruno says, "I'm Italian. I would count it first." That's awesome. That's awesome. James says he'd take his $8 million and split. He wouldn't see him at work again. And Daryl's on the same page as me. He says, I will pay off all my family and friends' mortgages. Right? Yeah. Because what's the number one thing? You cannot make every one of your friends millionaires.
You know what?
And all the people you love, you can't do it. But if you could take the stress off of your friends' lives so that from that point, their life is gravy. Because how meaningful would that be to you? Even if your mortgage is like $300,000-$400,000.
You know what?
You don't have a mortgage.
That was the answer. I was going to give something along those lines, but I don't think that's the answer people wanted. They wanted to know what was the first thing I would buy if I had that money, and I think that's what you were asking. Well, what about you?
Yeah, totally. No, and
what would be your frivolous expense?
Well, here's what I would.
Big drone.
That's funny. A big drone. I don't know if that's big, but you know what I would do is I'm the same with you. I would need something to do, and I love We Drone, and I love what I'm doing with that business. I would just build it a little faster, and get some more people involved. Then I would go down to Huatulco, Mexico, and I would have my choice of the best lot overlooking the ocean. And I would buy a place, not palatial, but it'd be big, right? And it would be nice. It would be, traditional Mexican design tile floors and all that stuff. And I would have a place for me and my family and friends to get away to. Yeah, I would come back and I would work my bag off to build We Drone because that's my pride and joy, right? Yeah. I want to see that thing grow. That's like a child of mine. But then I would make sure that we had a monthly bus, like Airbus, going back and forth for family and friends so that they can enjoy some time with me at my place, right? That's how I do it. I want to make my life easier, and I want to make everybody's life around me better.
There you go. And there you go, Daryl. The 69 Camaro. That's the answer I want to hear. What's the car? I was a car guy, you're a car guy. But you know what? If I'm being completely blunt and you just kind of hit a few things, you know me. I call you all week, and all I talk about is how can we grow this thing. Yeah. I tell you what, $80 million would solve a lot of the issues that we want to have to take this place, this show, this ride, and what we were trying to build here. That would help, and that's what I would want to focus on. So yeah, would I quit my job? I'm not sure, but $80 million might seal it. But I really want to grow this. I want to grow this to a point where it's a sustainable thing. I'm not saying we're Pat McAfee or any of that, but man,
you could be with $80 million. You could have any guest that you want to. Who's the first guy you fly in? If you could get any high profile.
Well, and that's the thing. I think if we had $80 million, we're setting up a studio. We're doing our show live and in person. So we're flying in a guest to come and join us. We're probably doing a 3-hour show with a couple of guests, maybe a band, maybe a musical interlude. Like this is going to be a well-produced deal. Like not just two guys sitting in their living room, me with the Fail Army in the background, and you with I believe it's a mirror in the background. And we're gonna up this thing because that's what I'd want to do. I definitely want to build this.
You know what I do?
Yeah.
I would buy your ball hockey team because you say you need something to do, right? You love ball hockey, and I would get you guys your own clubhouse, and I could probably do that for $1 million.
Yep.
Right. A really nice place where you guys just go hang out before games, after games, keep your gear, maybe even have a crew to wash your gear for you. But then I would sign you a new player. I would sign Sidney Crosby for $8.7 million for the next 10 years. And you guys could then just like hang out with Sid, right? Sid's getting paid. You guys are winning championships here in Calgary, right? Aren't you guys 4 times Division I champs?
No, not Division I. Division, I think it was 3, but last season we didn't lose, so we're primed to make a bit of a comeback. We won 4 in a row, but we got to make a comeback. The Giants.
Could you imagine that? Like sign Sidney Crosby to your league, and he's getting paid, right? Like,
well, I tell you what, I like your idea. Like, if I'm actually going to be totally realistic, like your idea, not just sponsoring a team, but actually starting a ball hockey league. Like they got the Canadian, what is it, the basketball league, right? They got the Calgary Surge, and it's the CEBL, or and they're a fledgling league, but they're building up. They got a fan base. You saw it with the soccer league where the Cavalry plays. Like there's space for some minor league entertainment, and everywhere I go, people play ball hockey. Canada welcomes so many new Canadians, and ball hockey is actually the intro sport for many of those new families, as opposed to ice hockey, because most people don't have the money and the resources to learn to skate. And ball hockey's big. And I'm still surprised there's no professional ball hockey league that people could go sit on, because it's rough, it's tough, you got to be good, and it's skilled. And
listen, if
as
flag
an Olympic
football's making it into the Olympics,
yes,
exactly. I agree. I totally agree. And I think that's going to be the evolution of the game. If they're going to give flag football a shot, why not make an inclusive sport like ball hockey? You play in any country, in any climate. And if you have the extra $80 million around, you can sign Sidney Crosby.
Well, right? I'll tell you what.
And you say it's not that far-fetched. So we're talking this new league you just started. Do you remember back in, was it early 90s or late 80s? Bruce McNall, John Candy, Wayne Gretzky bought the Toronto Argonauts.
Yes.
And who they signed?
Rocket
Ishmael. They brought him up to Canada. He turned down the NFL. Right?
Another one of my teammates when I was in Dallas. Yeah, no, there's a lot you could do with that.
Rocket Ishmael was still there in Dallas?
Oh, no way. He was one of my teammates. Yeah, the Rocket.
He must have played a while then.
Oh, he sure did. He went back down to the States. He played. I think he won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, no, like $80 million, you could do a lot. But one guy that's not making $80 million, and you mentioned Sidney Crosby, signed again a 2-year deal for $8.7 million. This guy, he's 37 years old, Sheldon, but he's still one of the best players in the game. And this is bucking a trend. I mean, you see what's going on in the NFL with guys holding out. Jamar Chase saying he wants to get paid $1 more than the highest paid receiver. Guys flipping teams left, right, and center. Teams not able, and the climate of current sports, teams not able to keep their stars because of salary cap conditions and so on and so forth. And Sidney Crosby, this guy not only is a great athlete, not only is he a great ambassador for the sport, this just shows what a great teammate he is. Because for him to take this, $8.7 million is nothing to sneeze at. You put 10 years of that together, you got your $80 million that we're talking about. And he's probably got more than that in career earnings and sponsorships and all that. But here he is putting his team first. And you think Kyle Dubas, the GM of the Penguins, who was in Toronto a few years ago, when he had to deal with the contracts of Nylander, Matthews, and Marner, and all the other guys, probably ripping his hair out trying to figure out, how am I going to keep these guys? And if I let one go and he does well, I'm going to get scorched by the Toronto media. And here he is in Pittsburgh. He's got the greatest player, arguably one of the greatest players of all time. We got to put him up there. He's up there. What do you need?
Sid, 10, 12, 14?
Nah.
8.7. Just keep it rolling. Keep it rolling, right? Yeah, no,
like
absolutely.
I have never seen a GM put out a 2-page public thank you to the player who he just signed, because usually it's not that easy.
Yeah, I mean, it is making his job easy, but he wrote out his quote that I took from it today was, he says, Sidney is the greatest player of his generation and one of the greatest players in the history of the game. Yeah, that's true. Totally true. His actions today show why he's one of hockey's greatest. Sid is making a tremendous, listen to this, a tremendous personal sacrifice in the effort to help the Penguins win, both now and in the future, as he has done his entire career. Now, I'm behind that the whole way, but when we start saying he's making a personal sacrifice, would you call that a personal sacrifice?
I mean, listen, we don't know what it's like to have $8.7 million versus $12 million. I'm assuming that's a personal sacrifice when you're in that echelon. Because I mean, it's also a pride thing. I mean, you know the way the business is these days. His agent, depending on who he is, he's probably saying, Sid, you're worth more. Let's go on the free agent market. You could get this, you could get that. You could go here, you could go to a team that's already a contender. You know, Pittsburgh's kind of building a bit. They're not necessarily they're not the feared Penguins they used to be, but I think there is sacrifice. I think there is personal sacrifice.
I agree. I believe in a player getting the biggest contract they possibly can, given the circumstances, right? But here's the other thing, though. What Sid's right now doing is legacy building at this stage in his career. And he's been doing it the whole way, to be honest. $8.7 million was worth a lot more in 2009 than it is today, obviously, right? Yeah. But the legacy of it and the legend behind it and the chance for one more Stanley Cup. If he could get that, and that's going to put him, he's already going to be a historically remembered player. But at this point, he can be among the greats of the Michael Jordans, and not like Tom. There's only one Tom Brady for a number of championships. But I think this is an investment in himself as well, and his legacy, and how he's thought of and remembered for the years to come. Listen, the guy's not hurting, right?
No, but you know what? We talked about this last week inadvertently when we talked about the San Francisco 49ers, although they pooped the bed this past weekend against the Vikings. You know, when we talked about Brock Purdy being the star of the show, like he's the engine that drives that thing, but he's making the least amount of money so that they could sign all these guys. And I'm not saying that's the case with Sidney Crosby. However, what he's done is allows the Penguins to go out and look for more talent to surround him with. And he's smart. The more successful he is and the more people he puts around him, the better he can be. Again, yes, they sniffed the Stanley Cup this year, but the Edmonton Oilers, you know, they're a collection of players, and they got a couple of good guys with Draisaitl and obviously McDavid and some of the other guys. But look, they had to let a whole bunch of young talent go this offseason because they just can't sign everyone. With the money they're paying Draisaitl and McDavid, they just can't keep everyone. And Sidney.
So
Crosby,
they're not signed for they're not signed for their jersey numbers. It's not 9.7 million he's making this year.
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. I know, but you know what? We'll transition this to the next topic before we take a break. But you know, there was almost a chance we didn't see this greatness in Sidney Crosby back in 2010 when he got that concussion and he came back and he had the second one. That really blew the doors off the concussion problem in the world. And then, you know, hot on the heels of that came the concussion movie. And here we are about 14 years later, still young in this whole concussion world, but definitely more aware, definitely more sensitive to it. We got the Guardian caps coming in the NFL. We talk about another star in another sport, and that's, you know, came front and center last week is Tua Tagovailoa in Miami. He suffered another concussion. Now,
say that again.
Tua Tagovailoa.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, but you know, he is a budding star. He was Sidney Crosby 10 years ago. You know, budding star, good numbers, maybe not as prolific as Sidney Crosby.
But obviously a star. Obviously a star.
A star in the making.
3 concussions, star in the making. 3 concussions in 3 years. What do? Do you pull the plug? Randy, if this was you in your career, 3 concussions in 3 years, would you pull the plug? I know everybody's talking about it now. Because I know I wouldn't have.
I had a major one in 2008, a major one in 2008, a year or two before the Sidney Crosby thing. That's why I know about that, and it's a fresh subject in my mind. I wouldn't have, because when you're a player, that's all you want to do is play. And I mean, again, I don't know if the money has anything to do with it, but for the money that this guy's making, the pride he has, you know,
it's getting taken off the field, right? Is I think the hard thing, giving up the game.
But it's hard. It's hard to fly under the radar like we used to back in the day. Like his concussions have been ugly. Like, we're not talking about you get knocked out, you walk a little woozy and get to the bench and your pupils are dilated. This guy's hand, like, look at his
He's
fingers
flashing gang symbols on the field on national television.
And I saw a little bit of it last week too. And I would be worried if I was him. Is he going to retire? Probably not. And it's hard to talk to a guy that's not even in the prime of his career. Like, he's a few years.
He's got so much to prove.
He's just found his stride. Yeah.
Can I step in for one? Yeah, exactly. He's just finding his stride. He's trying to prove himself, and there's a lot left on the table. It's hard to walk away now. But I know what also kept me going was the mental gymnastics that athletes do. And we all did it. Yeah. I would have looked at Matt Dunnigan. Oh, I just got 2 concussions. Look at Matt Dunnigan. Hell, he played 16 years and he's revered as one of the greatest of all times. And he's now got a job in broadcasting. Yeah. Can't be that bad, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Fine, right. Like it's really hard to pull yourself.
Look at Zach Collaros in the CFL. There was a time where we thought this guy was going to be the Tua Tagovailoa.
Well, Buck Pierce.
He was, but Collaros, he had a couple of those bad ones early in his days when he was in Hamilton and Winnipeg, even Toronto, and then we thought, oh, this guy's got to be done. When he went to Saskatchewan, Sheldon, that's what got him out of Saskatchewan, and Winnipeg picked him up. He was a backup in Winnipeg. Was it 4 years ago? He was back up to, if I'm not mistaken, was Matt Nichols. And then he comes in, takes him to the playoffs, and he's like, his career's arrived. So, yeah, for Tua's benefit, concussion research has come a long way. Healing practices, equipment. I mean, you look now, he might be the poster child for the Guardian Caps. We've been talking about who's going to be that guy. We said, who's going to be that guy that makes this part of their game day ritual. And we've talked about a few guys that said it, but not a big name like this. Maybe this is the guy that leads the charge in not only adopting headgear that will better protect him and allow him to play longer, but improving it and being that guy. Because maybe that's the next step before retirement is what can he do to improve his odds of not getting one? He's got to learn to slide. I got to tell you that. Yeah, he's got to learn to slide. He can't just run headfirst into defensive back.
But his first 2, he just got whipped around and whipped in and hit the back of his head, right? Like, there's certain things you can't do. But maybe the Guardian Cap is an answer. Bruno makes a good point here, saying, how does he get cleared to play in the first place when he's got from the past? Because he was woozy last week.
Did you guys ever watch Any Given Sunday? Come on, man.
Yeah. Well, that's you need to change the system, and you need
when James Woods is your team.
Not paid.
James Woods is your team doctor, but they've been making improvements on that. That's why you can get the command center or the medical booth to call a player off the field. It happens in the CFL. It happens in the NFL. Again, there's a lot that's improved. There's a lot that needs improvement, but we're definitely way further ahead. And with the technology, the research, some of the safety protocols, I think he can come back because there is a plan. No one's going to put him on the field next week, but they're going to try and get him to a point where, he's healthy enough to play and not too early. And I think that's a positive thing for a guy that's not going to call it quits. It's like, listen, we know you're not done, but at least let us make sure that you're right, like completely right.
Okay, guys, we're gonna go to break now. But when we come back, Chevy told me a story about his week, about going to see a cover band, and it got us thinking about what can the CFL do and Calgary do to start driving people back into the stadium. He said it was awesome. I'm going to let Chevy tell the story when we get back. It's coming up next right here on The Ride.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
Thanks for sticking us with us on the ride. Don't stick it to
Sticking
us,
us.
but sticking with us on this Tuesday night ride. We're here every week. It's episode 43, which is pretty impressive, Sheldon. Pretty impressive.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Where do you want to go?
Well, why don't you tell us a little something about that video that we've been watching? I think that's related to
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, for sure. So if you've stuck around during the commercials and hadn't gone to pee or fill up your water cup, you might notice an ad for Ignite the Night YYC, and that, my friends, is an event that's coming up in on November 8th. I'll get more details for you guys next week. I'll get a different promo with it that explains a bit more. But basically, Calgary Firefighters Burn Treatment Society is a charity I work with. I'm one of the directors on it, and we provide funding, research, and for the Calgary burn unit at the Foothills Medical Center. We also chair a research chair at the University of Calgary Veterinary Medicine clinic that studies research for skin regeneration for burn victims. So we do a lot of work to support burn survivors, burn research and treatment in Southern Alberta. And we have grants. I mean, we're not talking about a little charity. This is a big charity that I'm part of. And we used to do the firefighter calendar. So I know you always bug me about being in the calendar, and the calendar was kind of
in it every year.
The calendar was kind of this public face where people got to know what we do, and it was a fun way to get involved with the charity so that they can connect to it. We went away from the calendar, and I think we talked a little bit about that in a previous episode. We need to find something new, a signature event. So this Ignite the Night YYC on November 8th is a signature event in which it'll be a full night of entertainment, food, dance, cocktails, all kinds of stuff with firefighter challenges. And I'll get some more details in the coming weeks, but it's really cool. We're looking
firefighter challenges for the guests.
Well, the guests get to bet on different groups of firefighters. So they're going to be doing these challenges where you either bet on the green team, the red team, and we have this whole huge firefighter prop where they got to breach a door, bring a hose in, run a ladder to the second floor, rescue a baby. And so you get to bet on these people. When you bet and you win drink tickets, you win money. But so it's really neat. I'll get more details in the coming weeks. We're going to be looking for people to buy tickets. We're going to be looking for sponsorship opportunities, and I just wanted to put that out there tonight to wet your whistle with that. It's not imminent, but November 8th, if you want to circle it on your calendar, it's something you're interested in. You could also look at Ignite the Night YYC on Instagram. They also have their own webpage attached there. Sheldon, before we get into any CFL stuff, a couple of other business items. One of our good friends and friend of the show, Kevin Smith, Grandin Barrett Fitness. He sponsored our men's mental health night with a training package. We're kind of mutually support each other. He does a lot for men's mental health. We try to do a lot for men's mental health. We had him on the show. He's got a big event this weekend. It's a Train the Trainer event. In fact, our sponsor, Performance Freight Management, is also sponsoring the Train the Trainer event. And basically, the premise is, I believe it's from 9 to 5 p.m. You can go there for $25. You get to train a trainer. So you get 5 minutes to put a trainer through any type of workout you want. And all the money is going to the Canadian sorry, I can't even see it right now. It's so small. I'll pick it up here. It's all going to the
Mental Health Association.
Yes. And it's called the Mental Warriors event. Sorry, I was just reading it right here. Yeah, the Canadian Mental Health Association. So all funds being raised. It's the first one he's putting on. You got trainers from all over Alberta participating. Their clients are going to put them through the paces. You have the opportunity to do so as well. So check it out. It's the Train the Trainer Mental Health Warriors event. So that's this Saturday.
So let me ask you this. So you're at the event and you get to train the trainer, and it's for a good cause. So you can do whatever devious training you want to see him just sweat it out. Like our trainers for us during our training days did to us. What would you have them do?
Oh, someone's getting burpees. Someone's getting burpees for sure. Burpees and pull-ups. You know why? because even some of the fittest people in the world can't do pull-ups. Like I think I'm pretty fit. I think I'm pretty strong, but pull-ups suck.
I
So
got
if
long
I go-
arms. I can't do pull-ups.
Yeah,
I think I did 11 once at my peak.
I want to see you do pull-ups. I want to see you do pull-ups. Pull-ups and burpees. This is the worst.
You know what I love is that we talked about him, the backup quarterback in Chicago. Who's that kid? That was his dad was the arm wrestler. And,
Baggett.
Baggett, yeah, Baggett.
Baggett. Badgett.
So what he did in the offseason is he did a combination of burpee to a long broad jump for a mile. That's what I would have him do. You think about something like burpees are hard enough because it engages your full body, but then the explosiveness of that long jump, dude, you'd be puking after like 15 of those things.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty gross. Yeah, and you know what? We're gonna get the link for that up in the chat. I'm gonna text it out to Trey, and Trey will put it in the comments if you guys are interested. Some of the event details, just so you know, so I'm not just so loose with this. It's Saturday, September 21st, so this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The location is Evolve Strength, Sunridge in the Northeast. Okay, and I'm gonna get that link. I'm gonna put it off to Trey right now, see if I can get it to him, and he can put it in the chat right there in case you're interested. Okay, that's to support mental health. It's also to support our friend Kevin Smith. We don't get anything from promoting him, but we know that he's doing good things in our community, and we want to make sure that the word gets out. And you know, our good friend Daryl is sponsoring it. Speaking of our good friend Daryl, I want to also add this. Daryl, Chevy and Nasty, and Sheldon will say it on his own. We wish you the deepest condolences. Daryl lost his mom last night, and we know that I've lost a parent. I know how hard that is, and you know, even if it's something that you see coming, nothing ever prepares you for that phone call, and nothing ever prepares you for those moments in the aftermath when you think of that person. So, want to make sure that Daryl, you know that we're thinking of you. Same prayers for you and your family, and we love you, brother, and we wish you some strength as you go through these next steps, and those moments when you think about mom in the next little while, for sure. Sheldon, I'll let you say a few things.
I haven't lost my mom, so I lost my dad, and that was hard enough. So Daryl, my heart's out to you, and I know you got, you know, something we all go through at some point, right? But Daryl, I'm just so sorry.
Yeah. So we talked, Sheldon, about the charity. We talked about the thing. I really wanted to make sure that we offer Daryl our condolences, but we want to bring it to a lighter note. You asked me before the break, what did I do this weekend? So this weekend, I had a weekend with my girlfriend. We decided that we were going to spend a kind of a staycation. You know, we hadn't had a her and I weekend in a long time, as you guys know, and you've been following along. Brittany and I are in a bit of a long distance relationship. She lives in Red Deer. She's got kids, full-time job. I live in Calgary, kids, full-time job.
Chev, I'm not trying to get you in trouble here. And I know Brittany's probably not up watching the show, but you know, one thing really curious to me, you're talking about their long distance relationship to Red Deer. When we talked about $80 million, you know, it didn't come up with some kind of a transit line, like quickly shuffling.
Yeah, you know what? Well,
transporter.
You know what?
Back and forth
I said a Ferrari. They'll get me there faster.
I was just gonna say, this is your chance to make sure you're on good terms with that one, because I know how women think, and she's noticing there's nothing in there for me.
Yeah, well, you know what? I wasn't at the moment. You got me. But the Ferrari will get me there a lot faster than my Kia Sedona. Get me there a lot faster, a little bit more style. But anyhow, so we decided a little staycation at the Deerfoot Inn and Casino. I noticed they were doing a tribute band, and you know what, Sheldon? I love live music. We love live music. Her and I, that's our jam. Go watch live music, enjoy it. And I thought, man, I've never been to a tribute band, and it was a Queen tribute band. So, you know, I love Queen hits. I watch Bohemian Rhapsody. We all know the tunes. We can all sing along to them. And we went to watch Simply Queen. And I thought it was going to be, you know, I thought it might be cheesy, like a Queen impersonator. Like when we were in Mexico a couple of years ago, there was a Michael Jackson impersonator. I was like, this is the Argentina Michael Jackson. I thought this guy he was like the cheesiest guy, but everyone thought he was awesome. So I thought it was going to be that. These guys, Sheldon, were awesome. Now, he blew the doors off the crowd. The crowd was all in their 60s, 70s, and maybe some 80s. I mean, Brittany was the youngest one in there. at 36 years old. I was considered like a baby in there.
Was
as
this in
well.
our auditorium or just up on the stage?
They were on stage in the Chrome Room, which is sort of an auditorium they have in the middle of the casino. So it was an adults only show. You have to be 18 plus to get in there. But honestly, Sheldon, these guys were awesome. They had the one guy, you see him in the middle there. He looked like Freddie Mercury. He had the outfits. He did it. He hit all the songs right up until that upper range. But in the high range, his bassist to the, I guess, as we look at it to the left there, that's the guy that hit all the high notes. And they were so seamless and they were so amazing, Sheldon. And that guitarist to the right, who is it? What's the guitarist of Queen's name? May.
I can't remember his name.
Brian May.
Yeah. Brian. I think it is Brian May.
Man,
but did they make you feel like you're watching Queen?
Sheldon, I was blown away, especially when the guitarist did his instrumentals, and especially when the drummer did his thing. Sheldon, I was like, man, these guys are good. And from at the beginning, I was trying to see, oh, what's the difference between real Queen and these guys? And then once they hit one or two songs that really was like the popular hits, man, I forgot about all that. I was at a Queen concert.
Yeah,
I was like, this is awesome.
That's what a good band can do, right?
Bro, it was so good. And it was like, and this is where my mind went. I was like, these guys got me. Like when he got up there, and I saw him in Bohemian Rhapsody. I've never obviously been to a Queen concert. And he gets up there, he goes, "Hey-oh," and everybody, and everyone's doing it, right? All I thought about was McMahon Stadium on Labor Day when we got treated to I don't know, Ricky D and the Garage Band, and they were playing like really bad Canadian rock covers, and I was like, God, that's the best we got on Labor Day, the feature game in the CFL. I was like, why isn't this band, this Queen tribute band, or any type of Queen tribute, any type of tribute band playing in a stadium in the CFL? Oh man, they did.
Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? You bring them in where there's already a crowd of 30,000 people.
Yes.
Right. And the energy to it. And I think, in fairness to the CFL, BC has tried. Like they bring in 50 Cent.
They brought in 50 Cent and Fred Penner.
Things like that. But Calgary's still bringing in dog tricks and dog shows, right?
Well, they had, at the beginning of the year, they had this group, Dwayne Gretzky, and I had seen them. They played one of the shows during Grey Cup last year, but really like maybe high level amateur cover band, but no shtick.
But you got me thinking, because I don't go to many Stampeder games anymore. I do for a big game or when it's the right weekend, people are in town, because I really enjoy them. I just have so many other things going on. I don't often do it. I need a destination. I need something to draw me in there and say, oh yeah, this is the week. And honestly, like if there's a great Queen tribute band that put on a show, I don't mean just sounded good when you listen to them on your headset, but actually put on that show, that would give me some energy. And it got me thinking, what else would draw me in? What other bands would, like for you, if there's one band that says these guys, a legendary tribute band, these guys are amazing, what band would you like to see that would actually draw you into the stadium?
I appreciate you asking me that, because again, this got me thinking a lot, Sheldon. Like when I saw this band, I was like, man, I was thinking about this could revitalize the CFL, because the CFL's demographic is very similar to someone that would want to watch a Queen tribute band, like more older group of people. And I thought, oh, it was so good. And that question I will ponder right after this, Sheldon, when I say, guess what time it is?
Oh,
Trey,
God, here we go.
Trey, hit me, Trey!
Every time I think I'm getting out of it, you keep dragging me right back in.
It's overtime, folks. You know it is. And it's not going to be a long overtime, because I think we're quite about wrapped it up, but we have to do our overtime. So to answer your question, I was kind of stalling because I saw the clock going to overtime and I wanted to hit it. For me, I always thought, and I thought about this. I was like, man, one of the bands I would have loved to watch in the heyday was Guns N' Roses. Their tunes, their tunes right now sound like they would have been produced in the last 5 years. And we're talking about tunes that were made like almost 40 years ago now. Like Appetite for Destruction sounds like a today album. And I'm like, man, I would have loved to watch it. And then I thought about this Queen tribute band. I was like, you know what? I don't want to go see Fat Axel and Old Slash on stage. Maybe Slash, but I don't want to go listen to like
Fat Axel. Not only that, I think the time to seeing Guns N' Roses was when they're still in the club days, right?
Yeah.
Playing in front of 800 people.
Yes.
They started getting high and drunk and fighting and not showing up early on. But to actually see a band that looked like them, sounded like them, and honored the feel of GNR.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Down for that. So when I'm thinking about that, like at this point, I'm like, man, I want to see tribute bands. Like, you know how it is.
Steel Panther. I love it. Steel Panther.
There's guys that know more about the band than sometimes the band do because they were so stoned and high that they don't remember, like these. And like I said, when I watched this guy play the guitar, Sheldon, I was mesmerized. He was fingering that thing like it was unbelievable. They had the spotlight on him, and I was like, holy crap. And there was one point the drummer was singing a song. I believe, I can't remember the name of the song. It was something about he loves cars. And his voice, Sheldon, it was like, listen, Jack Black, Tenacious D?
Oh, yeah.
It was just that powerful coming from the drummer while he was drumming. And Brittany and I both looked at each other and we had goosebumps. It was like, holy crap. Like, I want to listen to that guy. So it was so good. And I thought, you know what? I want to go see some more tribute bands because I was really entertained. I felt like my money went really far considering it wasn't like a $100 ticket. It was $30. And I was so entertained. They played all the hits. And yes, Jamin, they did rock me. And I thought, you know what? If I'm the CFL, instead of hiring, Dirty Sanchez and the Paper Boys, I'm going to find a band that pays tribute and get them to play 5 or 6 of the top songs to a build-up where right at the end, you got everyone singing Bohemian Rhapsody at McMahon Stadium. Can you imagine? I was thinking, God, the CFL missed the mark. So
they totally missed it. That would be awesome. Now, first of all, a couple of things here, Shep. First off, I think fingering means something different in Montreal than it does here in the prairies. Second of all, I see a couple of guys going off here on Steel Panther, and I watched Chad Kruger get up on stage. I didn't watch it live. I watched it on YouTube, but it was still awesome. Get up on stage with Steel Panther and cover Van Halen. And they had Dimebag Darrell from Pantera, because this was a few years ago before he died. Get up on stage with him. See, that's the thing. Cover bands, when it's done right, are just fun. But you need that big booming voice. I don't care if he can't write his own songs. If he can sing my favorite songs the way I want to hear them, then I'm going to get excited. If they dress up and do the whole show, could you imagine a good Kiss cover band?
Oh my gosh, yeah, dressed up with the pyrotechnics.
And everything. Totally. The pyrotechnics, the makeup. Like if I felt like it was 1986 again, as a kid hearing that stuff for the first time, I would love it.
Yeah.
Motley Crue, even Motley Crue. You talk about Fat Axel. Well, Vince Young's the same thing. He's hard to like. He has not aged well.
No, none of them.
But what a voice! The songs that they used to pump out, dude, I would totally do that. Metallica, Daryl Wright. Yeah,
you remember, both being transplants to Calgary. I mean, in our days when we were playing with the Stamps, do you remember going to the old Morgans on 17th Ave, Broken Toys on a Tuesday?
Morgans, totally, yeah.
And the Broken Toys, they're a local cover band. I mean, now we're talking over 20 years, but when back when I was a bit younger, before kids, and I used to go out a little bit, that Morgan scene, if any of you have ever gone out to watch the Broken Toys, they were such an amazing band. They did all the hair, all the leathers, and they played all the old hair rock. And
I didn't see him.
Oh man, that's fun. But I think the CFL, if they're looking to create an in-game entertainment spirits, of course, if you hire a band like Nickelback, you're going to be paying, and they don't have that budget. But you still find ways to have fun, and I think that would be actually a really good way because, like I said, it does speak to the same crowd that you and I are speaking to, and the CFL's core demographic, even though they want to get away from it, is still that group of people.
Us.
Yeah, us.
40s, 50s,
Motley
plus.
Crue, Aerosmith, Kiss, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Poison, Def Leppard, you name it. Put a rock band, put something in there, something that will get people dancing in the seats and just having a good time and saying, I remember that. I want to go back. Because that's what the CFL needs.
That is what the CFL needs. So I think with that, Chev, we are going to move on to the CFL.
Yeah,
And
let's do it.
I got turned off early this weekend. It was a busy weekend. There's a lot going on. And I knew instantly I was in trouble. So, Trey, why don't you throw it up there? How bad did Nasty do this weekend? Oh, 2-1.
Oh,
Chevy with the stellar 1-1-1. Dude, you know what's funny? Each of us played in this league for like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
We know nothing about the CFL. What do we know about the CFL? I swear to God, I'm making the right calls every week. But
yeah,
the CFL is just as unpredictable as it ever was.
Hamilton, that was my one win. That was my one win. I picked Hamilton. I'm a believer. And man, he looked amazing.
Oh, he did. He looked just as good as he did in the Labor Day Classic. So anyway, so here we are tied up. Obviously, Chevy and I betting odds. I mean, that's a terrible record. My season-long record, 26 wins, 31 losses. Dude, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, we got to pick
like
up
I just want to quit now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can't quit. Life isn't about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you can get knocked down but keep getting back up again. Because you know what, Chevy? That's how winning's done, right?
Yeah,
and I'm not done. It's only a week after Labor Day. I can come back from this.
You can, but before we get to our next predictions, I just want to throw something out there. I was looking at when I open my iPad, I usually don't use it for the week, and then I open it up to the basically all the web pages that were up for last week should show up, and I update them. You know who the top quarterback is in the CFL?
Bo Levi.
You know who's number one, ranked number one?
Bo Levi Mitchell.
Bo Levi Mitchell. Sheldon, 3,682 yards. And you remember when he had. Yeah, but you remember when he had that high touchdown to interception ratio? You know what he's at right now? He's at 23 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. He's probably got one of the best.
Say that again. He's at what?
23 touchdowns. The next closest guy with touchdowns is McLeod Bethel Thompson with 19.
Yeah.
You know, Vernon Adams, 14. And that's probably one of the winningest guys. Zach Calaros, 8. You want to go to Cordy Fajardo? I'm just looking at this. Like, Bo Levi Mitchell is the top quarterback.
Where's Fajardo? Where's Fajardo at?
Fajardo's down there, but he missed.
I just want to see a smile.
Cody but Fajardo. You know the funny thing is, Bo Levi Mitchell, the losingest team in the CFL with the best rank, Jake Mayer, number 2. I don't understand.
Yeah, but you know why that is. So the worst teams fall behind and they have to pass. They're not a balanced attack. They are playing desperation football. So you see that every year. I'm not impressed by anything until I see the wins and loss records play out. But you know what? Bo Levi Mitchell, for 2 weeks in a row, has found his game.
He's looking good.
His
team is playing around him. His team is playing around him. They found the running back. I tell you what, I don't know if you watched any of that game, but they found
good. I did.
What's his name? I'm just looking it up here because he was stellar. Not Jeremiah Mazzoli.
No, but he ran hard. Like he was trucking guys. He was running.
Greg Bell.
I don't even know who that is, but that's
fast. Anyways, let's get to our predictions because we are in overtime and I got to be up at 5 a.m. And hey, everyone. Well, P-Diddy's in jail. Put him away.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get to that. Did we get
maybe
to that?
We'll talk. No, we'll talk about it.
Cuba Gooding Jr. might be in trouble too. I saw that they were hanging out at a couple of. That's next week. We'll talk about that next week.
A lot of people. We'll see what the aftermath is, but we'll just touch on it.
I heard Jake Mayer and Chad Kelly were hanging out with him too a couple of seasons ago. Did you hear about that?
I hope not. Yeah,
let's start some rumors here.
Yeah, no, let's start rumors. You know what one rumor is? Bo Levi is going to beat the Toronto Argonauts. You heard it here first.
Toronto's imploding, Chev. I'm with you on that one. But
they beat BC. They beat BC. They beat BC last week, so they're not that imploding. Chad Kelly looked like Chad Kelly, and BC kind of looked out of sorts. I'm still going to go with Bo Levi Mitchell. I'm just going to put it there.
I think Hamilton's going to win. I think they're getting hungry, and I think Chris Jones, although you don't necessarily see it on the stats boards in your face, I think he's made a difference with that defense, and the whole team's got this level of belief they didn't have.
Yeah, and they got a nice.
Here's the tough one for you: Saskatchewan at Calgary.
Here in Calgary,
Saskatchewan hasn't won forever. Calgary in a must-win game against a team that they've just lost to, come up with a tie. Who's going to win? Who's the hungrier team? Who's going to do it? Saskatchewan or Calgary?
The problem with this is this, and this was my issue early in the season, and it led to the point where Jake Maier was benched and Logan Bonner was put in, is I don't know which Jake Maier is showing up. He looked pretty good against the Alouettes last week. He was making some good decisions. He left a bit on the field, but to tie the Alouettes, to put yourself in a position where you could beat those guys, that's not too bad. But gosh, it's so inconsistent. So inconsistent. For me, I'm just not sure. Saskatchewan coming on the road, they're due. I said it a few weeks ago. They are due. They've lost a bunch of games, just with a minor setback at the end. One play here, one play there. They didn't play poorly against any of their opponents. I'm picking Saskatchewan for this one. You?
Yeah, I got the Riders too, because I'm absolutely puzzled because I watched what they've been doing, and they're not bad. They're close in every game. The same issue they had when they'd lost Trevor Harris. But I think they're due too. I like the culture. I like watching what they do on the field. It's just a matter of time. So, yeah, I'm with you on Saskatchewan. Randy, Montreal is in Ottawa. Is Ottawa stung enough to come back for a big game?
I think they are. I think that they're angry. However, I think Montreal's also angry that they let that game go. I'm going to stick with Montreal. They haven't proven to me that they aren't the top team in the East. This might be the game that sways that opinion, but I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt, if only for a week. When I'm picking Montreal, we'll see what happens there. But I expect them to rebound. I expect Ottawa to rebound, but I expect Montreal to win.
I'm going to call an audible here because I can't be making all the same picks with you. So
Yeah.
I've got Montreal in this one as well for the same reasons. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to check and say that in Toronto, Chad Kelly coming along in his, I think this is now going to his fourth start, that Toronto might be putting it back together and having some belief. If they can wake up that juggernaut of a defense, I think they can put Bo Levi Mitchell on his back. And it is in Toronto. And Bo Levi plays big in the big games. This isn't that big of a game as on the road. So I'm going with Toronto, but I'm taking Montreal in Ottawa. Last game.
Wow, that was a 2-for-1. That was amazing how you did that.
There you go.
Switch one pick, you made the other.
Winnipeg and Edmonton.
You know what? I'm starting to feel the love in Edmonton. I like what they've been doing. They're doing some good things. McLeod Bethel Thompson. I want to prove your theory wrong. I want to prove you said that the quarterbacks on the losing teams are the ones that air it up the most, and therefore that's why their stats are padded. That's why McLeod Bethel Thompson is number 2. In that, I'm going to pick Edmonton because I'm a believer. I don't even know if he's hurt anymore.
I knew you would. I'm going with Edmonton too. I am a believer. They've got momentum going there. That's why I changed that first game. We're going to have one game changing us, separating us. We're tied right now. Next week, short of a tie in Toronto with the Hamilton Tiger Cats taking on the Argonauts, one of us is going to squeeze ahead by one win.
Okay, so we talked about exploding pagers. We talked about phones recording your sex. Keep your phone in the car in another room. We talked about our charity stuff. We talked about concussions, Sidney Crosby, so much stuff. Sheldon, the big news out of the celebrity gossip is you got to start thinking about a punishment. The big news, P-Diddy, right? A few weeks ago, we just touched on it. A few weeks ago, we talked about his homes were raided. He flew off. He disappeared. It kind of went dark for a bit. We knew that things were happening and an investigation was ongoing. He gets arrested last night in New York. It comes out with some big and really scary stuff, eh?
Scary stuff, kidnappings, human trafficking, all of the worst of the worst things. Not only this, usually these guys that are kind of connected with it by government, he's donated to the parties. He's done all the right things when he's a superstar. He was everybody's sweetheart, right?
Yeah.
He does not even get bail. He offers up $50 million and says, I'm P-Diddy. I can't go anywhere. And they said, no, he's in jail. Is rumored. I just saw this on Twitter. I'm making this up, but he's rumored to have said about half an hour ago, I'm not suicidal. You think about this. He's now locked up in jail. how many people can be implicated by
Oh yeah.
these what they call them, freak offs that he had, some of them going on for
Yeah.
days,
Yeah.
sometimes people being injected both with drugs and IV bags to keep them
Yes.
going. This is going to be
Man.
really, you thought the pagers in Lebanon was bad. This is going to be really bad.
They're gonna put a bomb in his glasses, in his signature P-Diddy goggles, because and I thought you were alluding to the Epstein thing, right? Going to
Yeah,
jail.
totally. Yeah, Epstein. Totally.
And next thing you know, he disappears off the face of the planet because you know what? People don't want their names connected to this. So yeah, this is interesting. It's very sad. It's very sad because there's a lot of victims there. There have been a lot of victims, and if you read any of the articles, these freak off parties were really, really sordid affairs, and this guy was just a twisted dude.
Chev, there's people that are victims on the fringes of society every single day, doing things for their addictions just to keep things going. Right?
Yeah,
there are friends that are hanging on just to get some of the cast-offs of the fame or the money. Really desperate people. And
he preyed on these people. He preyed on these people, and there's probably gonna be a lot of high profile people connected to this. There are a lot of high profile people that have spoken out against him in the past. You talk about guys like 50 Cent. We mentioned that they've had a beef, and he's said it. He's been ringing the bell for a long time. Kanye West been ringing that bell for a long time. People have been calling them crazy, and especially with Kanye West.
Get this. So I know we're in overtime. We're supposed to cut it short.
Yeah.
Suge Knight came out on his podcast the other day and said that the FBI discovered old tapes when they raided the mansion and have tapes of J-Lo talking about the 1999 shootings, and somehow they got it back to Ben Affleck, and that was the cause of the divorce we talked about 3 episodes ago.
No way.
Yeah, so her and Diddy were a thing back in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And she was the one, and if you remember the shooting case, where she clearly was the one holding the gun and handed it to him. But they let his bodyguard take the fall for it, and he's still in jail to this day, or he's in jail for years afterwards, right? So J-Lo got off scot clean, Diddy got off, and somebody else, did the time, right? But they're saying that might have happened the Ben Affleck divorce. So just saying.
This is all coming out now. Look at us. We connect all the dots all the time. When is Will Smith going to enter this conversation? Because we had some talk about Will Smith and Scottie Pippen. Somehow it's all going to be connected. If you guys go back and watch any of our episodes, the Ride with Chevy and Nasty, we're on YouTube, Facebook, we're on Instagram, X, Spotify, and we'll upload some of those old episodes. But any of our new listeners, you can go listen to those old episodes. We have been on the pulse of the T, and this is just another thing happening that's got us talking, maybe gets you talking a little bit, pulls us a little away from sports, pulls us a little away from the seriousness of what's going on, and allows us just another opportunity to talk. But Sheldon, it is time. We went 20 minutes over time. I think that's not too bad. Some of you guys have stuck with us. Thank you so much. Some of you are going to catch the rest tomorrow, and we're recorded. Thank you for joining us. Guys, we love having you on, Sheldon. This was another awesome episode. I think we hit the times pretty good. We hit the overtime right on time. We're going to be back next week. It's going to be episode 44. It's The Ride with Chevy and Nasty. I'm Randy Chevrier. He's Sheldon the Pastrick, the Nasty Man. We're going to see you all next week. Thanks for joining The Ride.